Coaching has transformed my life in multiple ways for the better. I visualize myself becoming a successful coach someday, but will always look forward to being a coachee and learn as well on the other end. Experiencing a coaching session is a wonderful place to be in, and I wouldn't want to compromise on that. Talking about my coaching awareness series, I have done 4 coaching awareness series for you. 3 episodes under What is Not Coaching and one Coaching Made Easy. Please do listen to get them on your podcast channel and also to gain some awareness around it. Today, I would like to conclude my series with an interview episode. Please do listen further for an interesting interview with the special guest that I have today for all of you. Hi, I'm Ishita Gupta, your podcast host and HR professional and a life evolution coach. You are listening to episode 25, Transforming Lives Impact of Coaching with Shwetha on Let's Evolve. In this episode, I will be interviewing Shwetha about coaching and transformation journey. Before inviting Shwetha, I would like to know about her. So, Shweta is a corporate banker turned self mastery coach, passionate about maximizing herself and others. She founded Being Miraculous in her quest to understand what it takes to thrive consciously and support others in the journey of becoming. Through podcasts, workshops, and coaching, she facilitates the journey from self awareness to self transformation so high achievers can find both success and peace. Her first book, Far From Fine, published by Hay House, India, offers a roadmap for sustained personal and professional growth. Welcome, Shweta, on my channel Let's Evolve.
Thank you so much, Ishita, for that beautiful introduction, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you so much, Shweta. I really cannot contain my excitement any longer, and I'm sure that our listeners can't too. So let us quickly dive into a discussion on transforming lives, impact of coaching. So let me start with my star question for the day. How does coaching transform lives, and how does it impact an individual?
Ah, we are starting with the big ones. Okay. Uh, so where do I begin in terms of how transformative coaching is? So when I started my coaching journey in 2020, I was almost a non-believer, if I could say so. And I almost signed up cynically to say, let me see how can this probably change anybody, right? And from there to being so invested in the process to being coached and being a coach myself, I think I've come a very long way. I would say that coaching does many things for an individual. First, I think it allows us to stop and pause, which I think is a very big accomplishment in the kind of hustling lives that we lead. It actually helps us stop from the continuous state of doing to pause and just stop and say, what is it that I'm doing? Where am I going? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? The second thing is that when you coaching also creates a space for is that it creates a space for non-judgmental conversations. That means that when a coaching relationship really clicks, there is so much trust and rapport between the coachee and the coach that it allows space for non-judgmental self-discovery. I think you reach a state of calm composure where you're willing to look at things differently. To give you an example, compared to how, say, at at offices where we are constantly in a state of threat, where we are constantly competing with people around us and always having eyes behind our back to say who's coming out to get us or stab us in the back, to compare to that state of operating where we are normally there, to come to a very calm state where we feel safe, where we are not threatened, and we are comfortable being vulnerable. I think that is the second transformation that coaching does, is that it gives us a space to get in touch with that vulnerable aspect of us. The third thing, of course, is that when you're obviously pausing and you feel safe enough, you start reflecting, right? And you don't reflect at the superficial level. I think coaching allows you to go a lot more deeper and look at what is the real root cause of what is going on, right? Beyond the superficial disturbances, where is this behavior coming from? What about this is really affecting me? What is that deep rooted fear, deep rooted doubt, or deep rooted worry that is actually making it causing friction in my day to day life? And then, to quote my favorite philosopher and thinker, Jiddu Krishnamurti, when you're able to see the problem, the solution becomes apparent. So, when you're able to really find the root cause and say, oh, that is what is stopping me from moving forward, then the aha moment comes almost naturally because it is so obvious and staring right in your face. So, I would say that coaching is a transformative process because it allows us to go through these steps and discover an insight for ourselves that once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, unlike other training modalities or learning and development modalities where knowledge is being imparted, this is a discovery, which means that it cannot be forgotten. It becomes much more easier for us to own that insight and integrate that insight into our daily lives.
Amazing. That was such a beautiful answer, Shweta. Thank you so much. And my takeaway is discovery, the word discovery that you beautifully put up. I mean, it's just so good that, we can actually impact so many individuals and the steps that they have to go through. And you also shared that the knowledge that is imparted in other professions, and here we're trying to transform and we're letting them go through the discovery channel. That itself is beautiful. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing. And one word that you shared was aha moment. So, my next question is about that. So, can you share a specific success story of a client who experienced significant transformation through your coaching, or we can say, experienced an aha moment?
Ah, so many. I think I find myself very blessed and privileged to be getting a front row seat to seeing the self transformation in so many people on a regular basis. I still have to pinch myself that I get to see it. But I think if I had to say uh, more of a generalization, not a specific scenario, that most of the clients who I work with, what they walk away with, one is a very profound sense of self awareness, a very deep rooted clarity on who am I truly, what do I value, and what am I thinking, feeling, or acting in certain situations or when certain triggers appear. So there is a very clear clarity on who am I, what do I want to do, how do I want to engage with the world. The second thing that I'll probably say that most of my clients walk away with is the ability to self regulate. Uh, like the reason why I say self mastery coach, because I feel like the times that we're living in is very difficult and it's probably only going to get crazier from where we are. I don't see it getting better, in which case that we can't really control the environment around us, but we need to learn how to control our reactions and responses to this external world and triggers. And that's where I think self-regulation plays a key role. And with my long-term coaching clients, I've seen how beautifully, very naturally, right, it's not again something that's being imparted, but very beautifully they discover ways to pick themselves back up every time they fall off the track, which I think is a very important tool to learn that, first to be aware that something is off in your internal world, and second to then say that how do I bring myself back to baseline, how do I bring myself back to neutral so that I'm not carrying forward the emotional residue or the psychological baggage to the next interaction, to the next conversation. So the second I'll probably say is that self regulation, becoming aware of when you're going off track, and learning the art of coming back on track as quickly as possible. And third, I would say, is a natural consequence of just having that clarity and the ability to self regulate is that people walk away with so much more confidence because uh, whatever used to bog them down earlier unconsciously, I think they are very clear that how do I tackle a situation or an obstacle when it comes my way. And fourth, and probably the one that gives me most joy and fulfillment, is that they walk away with a smile in their face, because there is just so much joy, presence, and ease in their day to day life. Because whatever was those little frictions, whatever was those emotional overwhelm, stress, anxiety, things that they've been kind of been, carrying a heavy load or a weight, it seems to kind of, they're able to set it down and walk away lighter, which I would say is a huge thing. And specific stories, there are so many, right? I've had entrepreneurs who have recognized their true worth and saying that how is it that they can create a balance between their passion and their personal lives. I've had women who've kind of lost themselves in the process, with motherhood and marriages, reclaim their own identities and recognize who they truly are, what they're passionate about, and begin their passion projects and second careers in their 50s. Uh, so many examples. Like just now, before we got into this call, I was with a coaching client, and he was able to recognize that, hey, you know what? Every time I deal with my subordinates, I kind of judge them and I don't have that trust in them. And he said, I'm going to be curious about where they're coming from and set aside my judgment for a bit. So it's like these small little aha moments. And uh, each of these, I think, make the journey for me as a coach very fulfilling.
Certainly. I totally agree to what you rightly said, Shweta. And I really like that example that you just gave, that the recent coaching session that you had, and he told you that, he was judging his subordinates and then he realized he shouldn't. So, in fact, my episode 23 and 24 was about judgment, and I did share with the listeners about how we can judge with empathy and how we can have observation over judgment. So, thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, how you also coached somebody related to it. It was really good to know. And
Yeah.
you know that, everybody is different. So, of course, there are some professionals, there are somebody from personal backgrounds, and of course, they are of different age, different backgrounds. So, how do you tailor your coaching approach to meet the unique needs of these clients?
Yeah, I think just like any other service profession, I think coaching also does not have a one size fit all. Like you rightly said, people come from different contexts. People have their own personalities, their own quirks, if I can put it, in terms of what they're comfortable dealing with and what they're not. So, one of my very early mentors in coaching would always say that, coaching is almost like a dance, and the two of you play it moment to moment, right? So, it's not something that I can pre plan that, okay, I'm going to go into this coaching conversation and this is how it's going to be. It never works like that. So I would say that the way I tailor it is, of course, do the processes in terms of intake forms, in terms of discovery calls, understand where they're coming from, whether we are the right fit, whether I am even the right service provider or a coach for them, and only then take on the engagement. And then, of course, it's a continuous process of doing the tango, right? That there are reflections that you share as a coach. You invite the client to say, does it resonate? Is it too much? You take their consent to say that you're going to challenge them. It might be something that they are not comfortable with, and you can see it visibly in their body language that, they're closing down. So you take their consent and see, are you ready to kind of explore this? Because this is what is emerging for me from our conversation. And uh, I think the approach gets built by both the coach and the coachee together, right? So sometimes the coachee will say, yes, I'm perfectly ready and, raring to go there in those dark places and look at what is actually stopping me. And sometimes they might say that, hey, I'm not ready. Can we park it for a bit? And that's exactly what we do. The coachee decides the agenda. So that is how I think we tailor it in terms of A, what is the comfort level? B, where is the coachee coming from? And C, how much is their desire to make that change happen? right? And that sets the pace for every coaching engagement, if that answers your question.
Yes, it totally does, Shweta. So I really like that line that you said that, it's like a dance. So I think it is actually true. And also you mentioned that, it is almost like the coachee prepares the agenda and we don't do that for them. So that is really good because if people are different and if they're coming from different backgrounds, and you also see that either you fit with them or not, and they prepare their own agenda. So I'm sure that'll meet this question that, if a person is different, then they'll have a different agenda and they'll have a different coach likewise, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, so that is something that really resonates with me as well. Uh, and my next question to you, Shweta, is when, we spoke about so many other things, that how it transforms them and how do you tailor it, and also what is the success story, and those are wonderful stories. Now, if we want to tell our listeners that, please consider coaching, or as you know, that even now, not a lot of people know about it, not a lot of people consider it, or they're still confused whether or not they should take it. So, I would like to know from you, how and when should people actually consider coaching in their lives?
Sure. So I would say that, there's quite a common thing about, I still face this saying when I say I'm into coaching, they say, oh, what sports? Right. So there is still this ideology that coaching is only for, basketball players and cricketers and things like that. I think we need to still do a lot of work. So the kind of podcasts and the campaigns and the initiatives that you're creating, Ishita, will go a great way in actually creating that awareness of how coaching can actually impact and transform lives. So thank you for the work that you do. But to answer your question, right, that how do we really, how and when do we know that we need a coach? I would say that couple of things that I've seen over the years of working with clients, that one is, say you're in a life transition, right? It could mean that maybe you're relocating countries, you're changing your job profile or your portfolio, you're expanding into a larger leadership role, or there has been, say, a relationship transition. And all of these are situations where a coach can help. Second, I would say that if someone is feeling stuck or stagnant or unclear about what next in their lives, that is another space where coaching can be of great help. And often coaching has this typecast that it is only for problem solving, or that something needs to be fixed. I would argue that that's not the case. Coaching is actually a very, very powerful tool, and probably even more powerful tool when it's used as a way to go from good to great, right? So maybe you're thriving in your professions, maybe you have great personal life and balance and everything, but you are looking for a way to level up in your life and your career. I think coaching is a beautiful way to discover that self discovery or that personal growth, or to go that one level up in your personal life or your professional life. Of course, it's a powerful tool when corporates employ it for enhancing leadership performance and effectiveness and improving the workplace culture and collaboration. What else? Yeah, I think these are situations. Another space where coaching can also probably be used is when maybe you have very clear goals that this is who I want to be and this is what I want to do, but there is some issue in terms of confidence, right? That you're either operating out of fear all the time, or you're doubting yourself and you're worried. I think coaching can be a great way to look at these insecurities and say how to work with them. And another case could also be where you see yourself stuck in similar patterns, right? A coach can be a very useful thinking partner when you see, that, hey, I'm saying I want to do this, but I repeatedly keep avoiding it, right? So a coach can actually help shine light on what really is coming in the way. If you really aspire to do something, but you're not seeing yourself doing it and you're struggling with consistency, that's another place where I think a coach can actually help you.
Wow. So actually listening to you, Shweta, I just realized that, I also work in a corporate environment and I see all of these situations. Like whatever you've mentioned, I see everything around me. So basically, then, if I can summarize and say that everybody needs a coach.
I would say yes, definitely. And I think as a generation today, probably we need it a lot more. I often have this hypothesis, of course, it's not tested, that I think given the how our joint family system has broken down and we live in nuclear families, I think we don't have that support structure that used to be naturally there, right? So even if you never could confess to your parents, you would always have that uncle or that chacha or that mommy where you can have a conversation, have that non-judgmental space, get that clarity from someone who has a little more experience of life than you do, right? And I think that given that that is missing in our lives, we all need that space of exploring ourselves and finding clarity.
Correct. Absolutely. Great answer. Thank you so much, Shweta. I think it'll really help our listeners. So,
Happy to.
with that, I have my last question, but of course, not the least. It's a very important question. So, we are connected through MWCC, and I just wanted to ask you, would you like to tell our listeners what it is about and how does it help women?
Yeah, happy to, happy to. The council that we are a part of, it's the Maharashtra Wiki Coaching Council. So it's a part of Wiki, which is the national's largest platform, which works towards economic empowerment of women. And as Maharashtra Wiki Coaching Council, we are a not-profit council with a single purpose of making coaching accessible to women. And this is a cause that's very deeply resonant with me because I feel that as women, I often see that we have a tendency of putting ourselves last, putting our needs at last, and never really investing in our growth and our development. And I think women to date hesitate to actually invest in themselves. And as a council, I think our purpose collectively is to say, how can we create that awareness so that women realize that coaching is not just a tool when your company nominates you, but it's something that you can actually use to uh, accelerate your personal career, personal lives, or your professional careers, and really grow and feel fulfilled holistically in your life. And that really is our purpose.
Perfect. That sounds really nice. So I really hope that women do realize it and we get some more women who would really like to transform their journey through MWCC. So thank you so
Yeah,
much,
maybe one
Shweta.
thing I can, yeah, just maybe one thing that I can add to it also is that as a part of MWCC, we do have a lot of initiatives and outreach programs that we do, most of which is pro bono or almost free of cost, or if it is for a negligible amount, wherein we do offer a series of workshops that currently
Hmm.
that's going on, that is on Igniting 2025, to say how women can actually ignite and kickstart their 2025 and step into the new year boldly. And of course, we have a flagship event, which is Ignite Shakti, wherein women are offered a space to kind of reflect, reclaim who they truly are, and realign so that they walk out much more confidently and inspired to take on whatever obstacles that come up to them, with and navigate them with grace. So we do have a lot of these opportunities, and it is available free of cost. So don't hesitate to check it out. We are on LinkedIn, and of course, Ishita can provide you the actual links to the events.
Oh yes, definitely. I'll surely add the LinkedIn page link in my podcast comment so that everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Great. That was truly insightful and transformative, Shweta. I notice the evolution that you're trying to bring, and it is inspiring and motivating. Extremely grateful for you to come on my episode and do this interview with me. I would like to ask you, do you have any closing statements that you have for our listeners or any book that you would like to recommend to them?
Sure. I think One closing statement that I always share with all my clients and my community is that, and it's also the message of my book, Far From Fine, that never settle for mere existence. I think life is always ready to provide more, but we need to dare to ask for more in our lives. So always dream big, and who knows, life has a way of surprising us in such beautiful ways. And yeah, I think if there are book recommendations, of course, I'm going to be very biased and recommend my book. But other than that, I would probably, I'd probably say two reads that I always recommend to my clients and which has all transformed my life very deeply. One I would say is Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a very simple book, but it has such profound impact to transform your life. And the second, more because we also spoke about women centric, is this book called Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. I think it is a beautiful book to learn, self love and self compassion on a very deep level. So I'd leave your listeners with those two resources.
Yeah. And I'm also going to take those names from you and definitely going to read those myself. Thank you for the recommendation, Shweta. It has been a tradition that I also follow to give a quote at the end of my episode. So, my quote of this episode is: coaching doesn't just change the way you work, it transforms the way you live. It opens doors to self discovery, empowering individuals to unlock their true potential and also create a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. I'm sure that you'll be able to understand basic coaching after my coaching awareness series. Stay aware and spread awareness, and let's keep evolving. If you feel connected with me and it gives you a positive feeling, do reach out to me for a coaching session by booking my time on the link mentioned in the description. I support middle aged individuals reach greater heights by evolving and turning their life around. Please do share it within your circles. Like, share, download, and subscribe to my channel. Let's evolve. Have a wonderful day ahead.